Hello, beautiful souls, and welcome to Active Creative Perspectives. I'm Valerie, your guide on this transformative journey where a unique prism of life unfolds in full spectrum. And today I have Carmen from Montreal. Such a beautiful name you have, Carmen. You know, it's something that you always, when you read someone's name, you remember straight away. And today I would love to thank you and honor for everything you do for the art therapy world. And I've been attending the conference in the last 2 years remotely, so not online. And that's been amazing. So today I would love to hear your story and your journey, how art therapy became part of your life and how did it heal you and transform you?
Thank you, Valerie, for inviting me. I think it's quite an honor to be here with you and to be here as well in a different role, not as a facilitator, on interviewee, actually. And I always like to be, how do I say, in the back of the scenes and listen to others. I feel this role is not really mine, but I will try to do the best.
So how did you come to art therapy world?
That's a very long story, actually, and I will keep it short. I I immigrated actually from Romania, and it's very close to Ukraine.
Yes.
Um, and When I immigrated, I had in mind already. I was working already with children um, in a sort of position as facilitator. It was totally a volunteer work because I felt after being an artist for many years in Romania, I felt that art can do more for me and probably can do more for the others. I didn't know exactly what I was looking for because in Romania, art therapy was not yet developed. Um, and I knew that I want to immigrate as well. And therefore, I looked for something. And I knew also that I would need to have some masters or something from the country that will receive me. Therefore, I looked for everything that was possible around arts, and I found this beautiful project program at Concordia University in Montreal, and I said, "Why not? Let's apply." By the time that I arrived here in Canada, I think I already applied and I received the happy letter that I was uh, in the program, and here is my journey. This is how it started, actually.
And as you said that in Romania you've been working with kids and been
Yeah.
an artist yourself. So was it always your path since you were a kid?
Um, I I think no. I was very good at math. So so my parents and my colleagues thought maybe I would be an engineer or something in science. And then in the high school, I said, no, I'm gonna do art. And I went to the art school, and this is how I ended up being a visual artist, doing
And
my
what was
bachelor.
that? What was that past? Because I'm a visual artist myself. For what, if you look at it retrospectively of where you are today, what was that past for you? Why did you choose to go through visual arts, which is combination of a lot of modalities? Um, how did it guide you to go this path? What was it given for you?
Why visual art? First of all, I embraced many parts of the visual arts. I was in fashion, then in mural art. I was doing um, church painting, many things. I was. I think what guided my experience as visual artist was the curiosity. I was curious about many things. I was always in the quest for new things to explore, always in the quest to for new techniques to explore, and I think this kept me going actually.
And so, if you look at art therapy at the moment, with all the knowledge that you have back then, would you think it was a healing or transformational part for you doing visual arts, or was it a different way as you approach art therapy today?
Um, as I said, I think I arrived to that conclusion myself. Um, after years of practicing visual arts, I arrived to that conclusion that arts heal myself without necessarily having any background in psychology. I did it after, um, but without any background in anything like healing things, anything. It was more for me feeling that when I do art, it's so transformative for me. Um, Feels so good. And I said, it must have something, this art thing.
And it's funny that on the previous podcast and on the conference, you had several people saying the same thing, that they invented art therapy. There's a lot of people that go into visual art. They feel like they've creating it, like it doesn't exist. And
Yes.
in the conference, we had someone saying the same thing, that they decided they invented it as well. So why do you think we come to this conclusion naturally, instinctively, that art is such a powerful, feeling, transformative tool that people can use, but it's not written or stated that everyone who does it thinks they're inventors of this, this modality as art therapy. And it comes across every culture. It's different cultures that we all come to the same thing, that we feel like it's so obvious, but there's no evidence based or all these questions about it around this subject.
Yeah, I think first of all, invent art therapy. I really don't agree with the term. It feels too strong because we didn't invent anything. I think people from millennia, from our ancestors, they knew that art is healing. Um, it's a new I think the fact that art therapy is back into the healing professions is just telling us there was a time, there was the good time to for the healers to come back. um, in many traditional how do I say,
The
in
cultures
many
and
traditions,
yeah,
yeah, culture and traditional. Sorry, that I'm trying to find my thoughts. There was always art around healing. I don't think I saw any story about a culture where art was not hand in hand with healing, with community, etc., etc. Now we come and want art therapy to be something scientific, and we're struggling to go very close to those tools, which is also a good thing because now we're more Cartesian than before. We want to have proof. We want to think. We want to understand the world, and it's good. On the other hand, I think there was a very deep knowledge that arts our healing from our ancestors.
And I was just going through the conference, and you invite a lot of neuroscientists and people based on science, and they go into that really molecular level of how it actually works within our brain with our activities that will explain everything, the magic, that invisible thing that happens when you do it. And we still need that proof, right, that it works through understanding the science and the body and how it can relate to our neurons and what happens. So then we can say there's a proof that there's a magic and we can capture it in some way.
Yeah, yeah, I agree, Valerie, and I think we're really living exciting times because now we have the magic, we have the tradition that showed us that it that worked, that arts were healing for quite a lot of time. But we have other type of tools right now that are more scientific, that come on the other hand to prove more scientifically that arts work. And we have two ways of referring to arts, and the two ways are saying the same thing: arts work.
Yes. um and how did you come to understanding that there's a need to create a conference in this field and make it live through all the globally, internationally? What put you into that position that this is a time to start doing it?
Well, I think I wanted to connect with many art therapists around the world, but until the pandemic, I didn't realize how isolated we are. Until the pandemic, I was going to conferences live. I met people sometimes um, from other continent, not many, but it was an overall the feeling that I exchanged something with people. Then pandemic came, boom. I felt very isolated, and I realized that actually here in Canada, what I can have access to and where I can network is mostly with North American art therapists. And I realize I have nothing, no idea what is going on in Australia or in Europe or in Asia or somewhere else in the world, in South America, for example. Had no idea what is going on there. And that's very good to feel that you're the top of the world and it's only the good things are happening in your part of the world. But I I don't think I come from this position. And for me, it was really a lack of something. I didn't have those connections. I didn't know if art therapy has discovered something that it's interesting in other parts of the world. And then with the conference, I realized that yes, it did. We have many perspectives right now, and it's so beautiful to have them, to hear from everywhere.
And what is the response that people get from the conference that you receive?
I think that there is mixed things. Um, when when the conference is the conference is as well a product in a way, and most of the time we get the highest enthusiast responses and the lowest angry, frustrated responses. Those who are in the middle and just enjoy, I don't think we get them because they just feel, well, that's probably
So I'm
okay.
one. I'm one of them. I just enjoy it. Yes.
So that's I think it. I think being in this position of suggesting um, a conference that is free for everyone, and that, of course, because it's international, because sometimes platforms have limited possibilities to relate. Sometimes platforms do not work in one part of the world or for one person or so on. um, I think it's more going over those things, trying to troubleshoot, of course, but going over those things and understanding that probably the need is still there. And
But do you see
having
the
this,
rise of people coming through this year?
sorry,
Do you
yeah,
see the rise of people coming through this year compared to the last year?
yes, it is. Yeah, I
Yes.
think every year we had around 3 to 5 thousand people more than are following us. Yeah,
Beautiful. Yeah,
yeah,
and I feel this is a great example that art therapy is growing and awareness of it is growing as
yeah,
well as part of your work of creating this conference. And in
yeah.
terms of inviting people that you decide, on who's going to be presenting, how does that process work? Because that's kind of aligning the whole art therapy community around the world in what's the current situation. We all wait for like Kathy to come through and see what she's coming up with this year. And you're interested to see, what are the subjects that you're going to put on.
I think the subjects belong to us here, and we choose the subjects based on what we see that is a sort of a trend and we didn't touch before. For example, this year's subject related to grief was quite a need for many art therapists, especially colleagues here, to really be able to work with them, to work with those feelings of grief, to how do we receive death, how do we
Mm-hmm.
receive loss, etc., etc. And I didn't bring, like, I want many voices and many perspectives, and this can be tricky
Mm-hmm.
because sometimes that could be maybe frustrations if you're on this other side of the a war or something. But I think what I'm trying to bring is more the humanity
Mm-hmm.
of the healers that work in those zones, and the fact that no matter where you are, if you're healing people around you, the world will be better.
That's right.
Uh,
Yes.
so that's a little bit how we think, but we brought people from who work in palliative care, people who work with cancer patients, so that there are many aspects of grief actually that we brought. Now I'm not sure I answer fully your question. um, how we found.
How do you decide on who's going to be on a panel, of speakers, and which trend are you kind of taking? So you said that this year it was a lot about grief and how to deal with grief and different aspects of working in, different like cancer patients and war zones. Everyone takes different grief. So how that aligning, do you select the theme or does it just come naturally with people that you invite? They decide of what the subject they want to talk to.
No, we selected themes, and the themes are usually already posted on the new conference page, usually in June, if I'm not mistaken, like very early. I have sometimes we have sometimes even a call for papers. It's more and more often that we post the call for papers, and it's a process of selection. So it starts to be like any other conference as well. Plus, we're inviting people that we feel they have important contribution in the field. Now there is another um, problem in playing the detective is that you may not know who are the people in other continent that are really working with this field and really known for their initiative, for
That's
their
right.
theories. And sometimes we're finding them, sometimes we're finding just people who are really wonderfully contributed, but probably others we didn't find. Those who are probably the most famous for this topic, let's say in Australia, we may have missed
Yes.
that or those persons, just because we don't have any idea about that. So there's always a sort of working in the dark,
Mm-hmm.
and trying to find articles, trying to find um, things in internet telling us who can
Yes.
be can have
Yeah,
a
because it is
contribution.
important for the conference to have to make sure that the people that come in are accredited and they have enough valid information for you to share it, right? And because it gives your accreditation as well. And being the only conference at the moment that touches, our field, particularly, with because I have a beautiful opportunity to come to Ukrainian Art Therapy Association, and we have a lot of ongoing. It's not a conferences; it's more like updates on the situations and what's happening, and it kind of because of the coming to what you're saying, how the world came together with the Ukrainian situation, because it's such a global thing. The whole world came together to Ukraine to help practitioners, anyone who wants to work with mental health, to help them, with dealing and giving physical tools on how to do it. So um, during the times in the last 3 years, there was so many amazing people came through just to give their perspectives on how to heal and help different vulnerable people and children, you know in the bombshells and this and that. So just going to that place when a theme, the war kind of united the whole world to open up different perspectives on how to heal this particular thing. And for me, it was the biggest educational platform to understand how many modalities are there and what's actually working. And because it's based on the field, people are on hands working and trying these techniques, and they giving feedback straight away. And there's a lot of communications, I think. Hearing the stories and case studies, and then hearing this person replying, it was um, I guess it's nothing competing to education, but it expands your understanding of practical things more. And the same with, the art therapy conference. I feel the same vibe of how many modalities can share the same subject and then open up different perspectives on how to approach it, which makes you feel like you are united, that you are not alone in this journey, that everyone's just following the university guidelines, and or like mental health guidelines. There's like so many layers of what's happening in the world, in just one this little field that I feel like is expanding. And from your words, I'm really glad to hear that we are growing in numbers of people attending. So I guess for you, it's a big role to lead this and decide on who's coming next year, who's going to be in the list of the speakers, and what are we going to open up for our field. So, do you feel like a pioneer in in this industry at the moment?
Never thought of that. I think I feel more more of a passionate about art therapy, and somebody who wants to really connect art therapists around the world, than a pioneer.
Mm.
I don't feel I do any pioneering work here. I think I do more of a community work here.
Collective
Yeah.
community work.
Yeah.
um and like in Australia, you in Canada, we're both immigrants from Europe, very close to each other. um we have that need, I guess, of connecting to the homeland, or the understanding that the globality of subjects, that is such a different mentality where we live to where we're born. And that people approach differently every subject. And as you said, with grief, it was very obvious, right? So there's different sides of it. Do you actually use everything in the conference that in your personal practice after you finish the conference? How do you apply it to your life?
Um, I think I wanted to emphasize on something. The fact that I'm having, let's say, two backgrounds, one is Canadian and the other one is Romanian, made me realize, and I'm also working quite a lot with First Nations here, um, made, makes, made me realize how important is to honor all those backgrounds, and to not allow yourself to be swamped in one or another, and dismiss the others. I think that honor that I carry for the backgrounds that I'm coming from, um, made me understand as well that I need to honor every perspective that the speakers are bringing to me. It was very normal for me to honor those perspectives. Now, we were talking about grief, but there is art therapy and neuroscience in the conference. There was, so,
Yes.
and there is talking about new media, new horizons on art therapy, and this is a totally different topic. Um, how do I take everything in? I think it's for me such a pleasure and a learning experience to talk with the speakers. I think I'm learning so much that doing those um, uh, interviews, discussions with the speakers only for the sake of doing them and not for anybody else would be enough for me to nourish myself. Uh, they are absolutely extraordinary, and I'm trying to adjust my practice again and again. It keeps my practice very alive because twice per year, actually, we have another conference. That's the summer summit, and there is this conference, and twice a year I have such a steep learning curve due to talking to speakers from everywhere in the world, that it's so valuable for me. And I'm hoping valuable for the other art therapists, but it's so valuable for me.
And do you feel like every time you finish the conference, do you feel tired or you feel excited? What's the feeling that comes through for you at the end of it, as it is now, literally a week ago?
I think being tired doesn't exclude the fact that I'm very enthusiastic for this project. It feels good to be able to do this big project. And we have a team that is growing as well. We're growing, but just the fact that we were able to do again this conference this year, it's a big success.
So every year you feel accomplishment and achievement of finishing it off, and that it all happened and it's all successful, and there's more to come for you.
Yes, I guess. And understanding and trying, because we tried new things, they didn't fully work. Trying to bring this community somehow to be alive.
Mm-hmm. And obviously, as part of your practice, right? So you see clients and patients. So how does that change, with your practice every time you finish it off? Do you actually apply any of the knowledge straight away, or do you take time and just sit with it and see what comes up? Because you
Um,
are the only person that goes through all of this, because deeply getting into their mind, understanding them.
yes, I think I mentioned before how what a steep learning curve it is for me. That after talking with each speaker, I feel, yes, this is wonderful. I need to apply this. Um, I need to digest everything
Hmm.
because it's too much. I
That's right.
always need to digest. It's too much, and also sometimes not everything fits with
Hmm.
my style and my population that I'm working with. But I feel it's growing in my mind, and it's kind of becoming um, more and more solidified as what art therapy is from all those discussions, and also why it's working. I think the more I discuss with many speakers from around the world, the more I feel, yes, art therapy works, and I knew it, but now I know it even more. I'm sure of it.
I have exactly the same feeling. I was, every time I listen to someone and they talk exactly what I feel and think and know, it's just like such an amazing feeling of acknowledgement of everything and it's just there, um, in such a simple way. People talking about from neuroscience, and I was fascinated about the neuroscience part that you put in, because they just put it in all these medical terms, that for us it's just another confirmation. Yes. And very important for me to, from your perspective of how you're running it and opening up this field, how do you see the society is changing based on, what people are coming with and what subjects they're touching, and you're the guide and facilitator that opens these subjects up, and you can see some kind of lining trace of what's on everyone's mind.
I think this conference brought something very new to us, sort of polarization that I didn't expect to see. Um, Therapists around the world being in a state where they they feel very activated towards the traumas of the world, and not being able to stay distant, not being able to stay only healers and being swamped into what is happening in their countries. And yes, what is happening in some countries is totally tragical. But I'm seeing this, and I feel for the world actually, because if the healers are swamped into those polarized directions, I I th- I think we're what else do we have if the healers are not there anymore to stay present for everybody who needs healing? So this is one part. On the other hand, I think the more and more I see our therapists, creative arts therapists that are joining us, feeling that art therapy is the future. Now, I don't dare to say that it's only art therapy, the future, um, but I may say that it's a stronger and stronger feeling of this is a modality that works. This is a type of therapy that works. So either we're, let's say, there are other types of therapies that are concurrent to what we're doing or not. Others that declare they are stronger than us or not. I think there is more and more evidence that we don't need to care about what the others feel and just go with what we know it's working.
And in terms of, thank you for that. I deeply relate to everything you said, and I had the same feeling, um, about the art therapy growing and becoming stronger, and just need an acknowledgement from, the government and educational structures, right? But it will all come, based on the evidence and science. But in terms of, the society, and you said about this, the trauma is being the biggest subject now, and now if you go to like social media platforms and YouTube, there's a lot of trauma informed talks, right? There's a lot of like gaba mater is everywhere. It kind of the line where, as in gaba mater's book, normal, everyone realized it's not healthy, it wasn't healthy, and we are all traumatized. So breaking point of where do we go from it? And I guess it becomes also publicized and used, as well as there's a feeling that utopian, a feeling of trauma is everywhere, and how do we heal? So what's the best way to reach out to you if people want to talk to you or just ask questions? How do they find you?
I think that's very easy. Yeah, we have the site of the conference, and that's artstherapies.org. And of course, we have an email where I can be reached. It's contact@artstherapies.org. So that's the easiest way. Um, most of the time, it's not me who is responding there, but I will. Everybody will let me know if it's a message from me. Actually, we had always a summer summit. I think we want to move it more towards September-ish, end of August, September. That will always focused on different things. I was always focused on more creative arts therapies as a whole and bridging them. I think we're more and more into that mindset of bridging the creative arts therapies. expressive therapist, with drama therapist, art therapist, dance and movement therapist, etc., etc., and making a sort of a summit that become more international, and it's about bridging modalities, because I know for myself, and I know from the feedback that I have from my colleagues here in Canada. Uh, we always wanted to know a little bit what is happening in other modalities. It's sort of curiosity, like, okay, yes, we know about art therapy, and I'm an art therapist, but what about drama therapy? Is that anything that I can use from them without, of course, using the main techniques and declaring myself a drama therapist? But there's a point where they kind of intersect, and where there is beauty in working a little bit more um, open in the sessions, and not feeling very rigidly um, that we need to fit a box. So that's the project that will be happening probably towards the fall. And of course, in the summer, as I said, we will have the topics for the conference as well. Whoever wants to apply to submit anything.
Yes, and I will put the links on this podcast, and people can see if they're interested to apply and look up for the updates. Thank you so much for the work you do, and coming, with such a big time difference online to do this conversation. Thank you so much.
It's my pleasure. Thank you, Valerie.